In this video, let's look into the 17th problem from the accounts for incomplete records, chapter 1, standard 12, Samacheer. So this problem goes as the details of Rakesh is given and we have to prepare the trading and profit and loss account for the year ended 31st March 2019 and a balance sheet as on that date. That means we have to technically prepare the final accounts for Rakesh. Now they've given us the opening and the closing balance. So 31/3/2018 is the opening balance and 31/3/2019 is the closing balance. So there they've given us the assets and the liabilities. So using that, if we want, we can find out the opening capital or the closing capital, whichever is required. Next, moving on, we have the other details. So in that, the last item, if you see, the opening capital is already being mentioned there. Therefore, we may not use statement of affairs to find out the opening capital, but we can use it to find out the purchase and the sales which is not given in the sum. That is the credit purchase and the credit sales which is not given in the sum. So the other expenses and incomes are given in the other details. So using those items, we are going to find out the credit sales and the credit purchase by opening the total debtors and the total creditors account, and then we are going to use that in the trading account and the profit and loss and balance sheet. So let's go into the sum. So let's start with the total debtors account. So I've written down the particulars rupees and the particulars rupees for both the debit and the credit side of the total debtors account. So let's go through the values which is given in the problem and see which kind of values are going to be entered over here in the total debtors account. So first of all, when we start with the total, start with the brought down balance. Since it's a debtors account, the brought down balance comes on the debit side. The brought down balance is nothing but the opening balance of the debtors. So the opening balance of the debtors is 5,30,000, which is being taken from the details given in the problem. Debtors as on 31/3/2018, which is 5,30,000. Next item is going to be, so apart from this, it's only going to be the credit sales, which is the balancing figure, which is going to come on the debit side. So I write credit sales, which is the balancing figure on this side, which is the answer. So apart from this, the other items are going to go on the credit side. So I move to the credit side of the debtors account. So on the credit side, the first item what I'm going to take from the other details is discount allowed. So buy discount allowed. So discount allowed is rupees 25,000 as given in the other details. The next item which I'm going to take is cash received. Cash received from debtors is 12,50,000. And the last item which I'm going to take from the problem is buy balance carried down. So this balance carried down can be taken from the balances which is given on top. Debtors 6,40,000. That is a closing balance of debtors is a balance carried down. So after this, we have to get the total of the debit and the credit side. So my credit side is more and my debit side is less. It has only one item, that is 5,30,000. Therefore, my balancing figure, which I've already written over here according to the format, is clear. Okay, so my credit side total is 19,15,000. So I write the 19,15,000 on both the sides, that is my debit and on my credit. So 19,15,000 on both the sides of my debit and credit. So now move on to the debit side, which is the least. So now I'm going to subtract the 19,15,000 from 5,30,000. That gives me a credit sale of 13,85,000 as my credit sale. So using this, I can do the trading and profit and loss account. I can record this on the credit side of the trading account as credit sales. So next we are going to find the credit purchases using the total creditors account. Next we are going to start with the total creditors account. So I've written total creditors account in the center and the debit side and the credit side with particulars rupees. So I'm going to start up with the credit side because creditors account, the opening balance will be shown on the credit side. So the first item I'm going to record here is the opening balance, that is buy balance brought down. So that is 3,70,000 according to the information given in the problem for creditors as on 31/3/2018 in the first tabular column. So next, apart from this, it's only going to be the credit purchase, that is a balancing figure for this sum on the credit side. The balance credit purchase balancing figure is being written. So after this, the credit side, we do not have anything else to do. So we're going to move to the debit side of the total creditors account, and the rest of the sum is going to be completed with the debit side only. So other than these two items, what we have pertaining to the total creditors account is the discount which has been received. So this is taken from the other details given in the problem. So to discount received 35,000 from the other details I have recorded. Apart from this, we have cash paid to creditors again in the other details. So to cash paid. So that is rupees 11 lakhs. So that is also going to be recorded in the outer column. Everything in this particular total debtors and creditors account is going to be on the outer column because we do not have any working in which is going to be in the inner column. So all the amount is going to be recorded in the outer column directly. So after discount and cash paid, it is only the closing balance of the creditors, that is balance carried down. So this can be taken from the first tabular column in the problem, sundry creditors as on 31/3/2019, which is 4,20,000. So that is our last item. So when I compare and see, my debit side is more than my credit side. My credit side has only 3,70,000. My debit side has a total of 15,55,000. So that's going to be the grand total. So I write 15,55,000 as my grand total. So 15,55,000, the total is written on both the sides, that is the debit and on the credit. So my credit side is less. So my balancing figure, that is credit purchase, is going to be on the credit side. So now I have to subtract the grand total with the amount on the credit side. So if I subtract it, I will get 11,85,000 as my credit purchase, which this value can be transferred to the trading account debit side and used for purchases. So next up, we are going to start with the trading account. So I've written out the format of the trading and profit and loss account together as on 31st March 2019. So the debit side with particulars and the credit side with the particulars. So the first step in the trading and profit and loss account is on the debit side, that is to opening stock. So this value can be taken from the tabular column in the problem, the first one. So according to that tabular column, the opening stock for the year 31/3/2019 is 2,20,000. So that has been recorded in the outer column because we do not have any working note according to this opening stock. So after that, we are going to record to credit purchase because credits cash sales or cash purchase is not given. So directly we are recording credit purchase, which we found using the total creditors account. So 11,85,000 in the outer column. On the credit side, it's going to be sales, and we are going to add up the cash sales which is given in the sum and the credit sales which we found out using the total debtors account. So cash sales which is given in the sum is 20,000. So write it in the inner column as we have to do a calculation in this. And credit sales which we found out in the total debtors account is 13,85,000. So we're going to add it and write it in the outer column. So the answer is 14,05,000. So this is the total sales which we found out for this sum. And after this, it is the last item, that is buy closing stock. So this can be taken from the details which is given in the problem for stock. Take the last closing date and you have to record the stock value, that is 1,60,000. So after this, we are going to balance it and find out the answer. Next step is balancing it. So on the credit side, I get a total of 15,65,000, and on the debit side, I get only 14,05,000. So my debit side is less. So go to the debit side and write down there to gross profit. So the answer which we get using a trading account is the gross profit. So this gross profit is going to be carried down to the profit and loss account. So next step, what we're going to do is we're going to write down the greatest total as the grand total. So 15,65,000 65,000 is my greatest total to be written down as grand total on both sides of the debit and credit. Next, after that, I'm going to come to the debit side where I have my profit and subtract the 15,65,000 from 14,05,000. So my answer is 1,60,000 as my gross profit. So this gross profit which is on the debit side, now I'm going to take it to the credit side. So move to the credit side. Immediately below the total, I'm going to transfer the gross profit. So below the total, by gross profit, this is taken from the trading account. Since I have started the format with trading and P&L account, I am continuing the sum as it is. So 1,60,000. So once it has been brought down from the trading account, this onwards is going to be my profit and loss account. So all items regarding profit and loss is going to be recorded here, right? So when we look into the sum, the first item relating to profit and loss in the other details is rent paid. So rent paid is an expense. So go to the debit side. Below the total, you have started the profit and loss. So to rent paid. So that is 1,20,000 in the outer column. Next item is discount received. So discount received is an income. So credit all incomes and gains. So go to the credit side. By discount received. So the discount received is 35,000. Next item is discount allowed. So this is an expense for us. So I'm going to the debit side of the profit and loss account. I'm going to record to discount allowed. And that's going to be rupees 25,000. Though we are recording these in the total debtors and the creditors account, again we are going to record this in the profit and loss account. Next item in the other details, cash paid won't be recorded because it is cash paid to the creditor specifically. So it goes to the creditors account. Then debtors also won't be recorded. Drawings will go to the balance sheet, cash sales, capital. So as far as profit and loss account is related to, the details which is given in the problems have been recorded. So now it's time to tally the profit and loss account. So first let's get the total of both the sides. On the credit side of the profit and loss account, I get 1,95,000 as a total, and on the debit side, I get 1,45,000. Therefore, 1,95,000 is the greatest total. Write that as a grand total on both the sides of the profit and loss account. After this, move on to the debit side, which is least in value. So that is going to be where your balance is going to come. So the answer for a profit and loss account is always a net profit. So this net profit will be transferred to the capital account in the balance sheet. So if you want, you can write it down, or else you can ignore this part. So 1,95,000 minus 1,45,000 is going to be rupees 50,000 as my net profit. So this 50,000 is taken to the balance sheet. So our next step in the sum is going to be the balance sheet. Balance sheet as on 31/3/2019. I've written out the asset side and the liability side. So let's start with the liability side. The first item in the liability side is going to be my capital. So the opening capital is given in the details of the problem. So the opening capital in the other details given is 5,20,000. Write the 5,20,000 in the inner column of the liability side. After this, if there is a net profit, it's going to be added along with the capital. So net profit, we also got a net profit. So I'm going to add the net profit of rupees 50,000 along with the capital. And I'm going to write it in the inner column, 5,70,000. Why? In the sense I have a drawings given in the problem. So the drawings has to be subtracted from the capital. So drawings of rupees 1 lakh has to be subtracted. So for that case, I've written the values in the inner column. So after this, I do not have any deletion or anything relating to the capital. So I can write the value of the capital now in the outer column. After this, the only credit item or the liability item recorded in the sum is sundry creditors. So creditors is the only last item. So I can record the creditors 4,20,000 in the outer column directly. So with this, our liability side is over. Now moving on to the asset side, when we look into the sum, we have a set of 4 assets which has to be recorded from the first tabular column. So from the first tabular column, first item, stock of goods, that is nothing but the closing stock. So closing stock has to be recorded in the trading account and on the balance sheet. So closing stock, take the value on 31/3/2019's column. So that's gonna be rupees 1,60,000. After stock of goods, we have debtors. So all these values are going to be the closing values or closing balances according to 31/3/2019. So concentrate on the column 31/3/2019. So that's 6,40,000. After debtors, we have cash at bank, rupees 10,000. Machinery, rupees 80,000. So these are the 4 assets which are given in the problem. So after this, we have to balance, that is total both the sides of the assets and the liabilities, and the answer must be the same. My asset side total is 8,90,000, and on my liabilities side also I get a total of 8,90,000.